let's get into our scripted picks for the 2026 Senate race. Last time I did my confidence ratings. This time I'm going to do the amounts. And again, this is very early on, but sometimes your earliest predictions are your greatest predictions, especially when it comes to scripted stuff. So let's get to it right now. We're going to start with the states that are going to be won by 15 or greater points in my prediction. Of course, many circumstances can change that. Of course, I'm going to have to talk about all the circumstances. There's, like I mentioned, a couple that we don't know about, but let's just go with the normal ones. These all should be won by 15 or more points. Actually, I'm going to leave Kansas out of that loop. I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive. Oklahoma is going to be in there. Wyoming, Idaho is going to be in there. I am going to say most of the South is going to be in there. I mean, come on. How did this get colored? I don't want that colored. There we go. Yeah, it should be colored Republican. By the way, Republicans, blue, Democrats, red, if you've noticed up on the screen. Alrighty. So, anything else for them that is going to be solid? Nope. All right. Let's do the Democrat solid states. And I know Oregon gubernatorially can be competitive. Their statewide races are usually competitive. The presidential race was slightly more competitive. It was in the higher likely end. But if you've noticed, the Senate races are usually the strongest for Democrats. And that will be no different here. I predict this to be at least a 18-point win. But this is about 15 or greater. It will definitely be in that range. The next state I will characterize is Colorado. There's no doubt in my mind that Hickenlooper will win by at least 15. I don't see how this is competitive at all. If this were to be some other candidate, other than Hickenlooper and the current governor, I absolutely could see this being more competitive. But with it being Hickenlooper, there is no way. So I will characterize this as a safe state. All right, the next state we're going to talk about is going to be the state of, let's do, the next state is going to be, let's do, oh yeah, there are some safe Democratic states. Here we go. Massachusetts, Rhode Island. There's really no reason to explain there. Delaware. Obviously, that there's no reason to explain that one either. This brings us to 40 to 42. All right, so the next state, let's do, that's it, I think, for the solid states. Yep, so that's it for all the ones that are going to be 15 points or more. And the West Virginia is going to be okay. Actually, I am going to pick this one right now. I'm assuming Blankenship will not be the nominee for the Democratic Party, which will make this a solid state as well. If it is Don Blankenship, I could actually see this scripted to be a lot more competitive, but it won't be. So that's a safe one as well. With that being said, here we are, 43 to 40. Let's do the next state, and the next state is going to be all the ones that are between 7.5 and less than 15. So greater than or equal to 7.5 and less than 15 are going to be these categories for margins. I would put Alaska. Actually, no. Yes, Alaska is in there, but I'm going to do the losing party first to keep it, back and forth. That's the way I like to do my thing. So what's going to be one between 7.5 and 15? First one is going to be New Mexico. I have that be won by probably just under a double-digit margin, probably by 8 or 9 points, anywhere between 8 and 10. And that's how I see that race going. Illinois is going to be right just short of that 15-point margin. Democrats will probably win the state more like around 13 to 16 points. It definitely could be won by a solid margin, but I'm going to say it's just short. And that's probably going to be the margin that they win it by. The next state is Virginia. Actually, I want to see who the nominees are for that one. New Jersey. I think that will be won anywhere between 8 and 12 points. I don't see it being a blowout. Actually, I'm going to say more like 9 to 13. It's not going to be a solid victory, but I'm very confident. There's no way Cory Booker's going to lose. And I do project this to be my consciousness is it's safe, but the margin, I don't think is going to be a safe margin. I think it's going to be more like a likely margin. New Hampshire, same thing. I do predict it will probably be won by around just over the 7.5 required. It'll probably be won by about 8 to 9 points. 8 to 9.5 points, I should say. So it's going to be right around that. The next state that we're going to do, is that all for the Democrat likely states in terms of margin? Okay, that's it. So we're going to go to the likely Republican margins. Again, 7.5 to 15 points. Alaska is one of them. That will probably be just short of the 15-point margin, but it's going to be a lot closer to that than it's going to be into the lean margin. So it's going to be on the upper end of the likely margin. Let's be honest. And that's right now. If Patola does run, it will be a lot more competitive. It doesn't look like she will. So right now I'm going to say it's a likely margin. Montana, same thing. Republicans will win, but it will not be by 15 or more. Iowa, same thing. It's going to be just short of that solid margin. Florida, same thing. It's going to be just short. It's going to be like a 13. Actually, I'm going to say Florida is going to be around 11 to 14 point margin. It's going to be just short of the 15. So that's Florida. So that gives you the 47. The next one is South Carolina. This will be won by about 12 to 14 points. And when I say, I should be more specific. I keep saying the whole number. Anywhere less than 15. So 12 to 14, 0.999. So it wouldn't shock me if they won it by 14.5. But I do think it will be short of that solid margin. Kansas, same thing. It's going to probably be around a 12 to 14.5 point victory for Kansas. It's going to be kind of that same type of thing. Would it surprise me if it reached the 16 points? No, but I think that is a best case scenario. All right, the next state we're going to look at, actually that's it for the likely states. So the lean states, and we're going to start with the Democratic Party. These are states that will be won by at least 3.5 points. If not, be anywhere between 3.5 and 7.5. So these are going to be a lot more competitive. We will start with Virginia. Virginia is going to be, now, if Youngkin runs, I will probably change my pick here. So that could change. Right now, he's not. He hasn't been confirmed. So right now, I see this. It will probably be closer to the likely margin than the other way around. So I would say, and it could be a likely margin. It's going to be in between probably, I would say, 5.5 to 9 points. So within that 3.5 point margin, it's going to be in right around there. If I had to predict. Of course, who knows? The script may have Republicans winning by a lot more, and that could happen too. They may be getting us prepared for that. But right now, I'm going to say that's the way it works. I think a lot more people are expecting it to be a lot bigger of a margin. I'm going to say it's close. I'm going to say Sherrod Brown makes a comeback in Ohio. I do predict he will be the Democratic nominee and that he will win probably by around the margin that he lost by. So he'll probably win between 4 and 6 points. If it's anyone else, Ohio will definitely go the other way. But I'm going to say it's Sherrod Brown, and I'm going to say he does win. Minnesota, same thing. Listen, it's going to be close. I don't know who their nominee is going to be. They actually may have saved themselves because Tina Smith last time did not do well at all. Her margin was what, 4 points? It was not, and on a year where Democrats did well, it was not a good margin. She would probably lose, or at least have a very good shot of losing. Who knows? Again, it's all scripted and it's all rigged. But I'm going to say that this is close. Democrats probably win this race by anywhere between 3 to 7.5 points, which is, I mean, pretty, the margin, I have it being 4.5 point margin. So I'm not as confident, but it's going to be right around there. The next state I'm going to mark, and actually it for the lean states, for Democrats. Republicans are scripted to win the Senate back. I will be giving them Maine. I do think Susan Collins will win re-election. I think she wins by she could actually win by a likely margin. She's going to win anywhere between 6 to 9 points. But I do think she will win. And that is my prediction there. North Carolina. Oh, obviously, by the way, if Collins is not the nominee, Democrats probably win anywhere between, I would say, 8.5 to 13 points. So keep an eye on that. I think Collins will be the nominee. That's why I have it being a lean state. Georgia. If it's anyone but Kemp, this is going to be a tilt margin. And it's going to be very close. Very close. Either way. And I should actually probably favor Ossoff to win. I'm going to say Kemp is the nominee. And I think he does just enough to get over that 3.5. I think he wins anywhere between 3 to 6 points. So just outside of what would make it a pure toss-up margin. But I'm going to say that he is the nominee and that he will win Georgia by about probably that amount. The next state we're going to predict is North Carolina. I predict this will probably be a lean margin as well, or even a tilt margin. Actually, I'm going to say it's a tilt margin. So the lighter blue. And now we're going to start doing both tilt and lean. We know the Republicans won the Senate. I think this will be won by anywhere between 1.5 to 4.5 points. It could definitely go the other, depending on who the nominee is, it could go the other way. It's also how they want to script it too and rig it. We don't know. But I'm going to guess that this is going to be one of the most competitive ones of the night, as well as the last one, Michigan, which is going to be tilt Democrat. I think this will probably be the closest race of the night. And maybe Georgia and potentially North Carolina. I'm going to say it's within 2 points either way. It's hard to predict the winner. Right now, I would tilt toward the Democrats winning, but it wouldn't shock me if it went the other way. And that is your prediction. I will be doing a best case scenario for both parties tomorrow. And until then, take care.